Sveiki, mėlyjeji Žalgiris Insider nariai, sveiki įsijungę šią jums skirtą tinklalaidę. Aišku, sveikinamės ir su visais, kurie galbūt nėra nariai, bet kažkokiu būdu mato šią tinklalaidę, tad kviečiame jūs tapti Žalgiris Insider nariais ir turime neeilinę progą šiandien susirinkti, pakalbėti apie krepšinį ir pakalbėti netgi apie Sakartvelo krepšinį iš dalies, kadangi mūsų Žalgiris Insider tinklalaidžių studijoje istoriniai pirmą kartą lankosi Kauno Žalgirio trenerių štabo narys Andrew Antelidze. Hello Andrew, how are you?
I'm great. First of all, it's great to be here as well at the same time.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have you here. The first ever Žalgiris organization member from Georgia or Sakartvelo, as we say right now. How do you feel being on a pod? Do you feel comfortable talking about basketball, the thing that you do every day? Yeah. How do you feel in general?
I mean, in general, I feel good. Now, regarding the podcast, now you make things easier, like communicating with you. You know, like you're a social guy, so. All right. Plus, we're talking about basketball. Yeah. So.
Nothing out of usual.
Yeah. I believe it's going to be smooth, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that too. I know you as a person for the second season now in a row, because last season you jumped on the team. Now you're fully into the team. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to dive into that. But first, I want just to touch some of the topics from your life, just to know you better, just for the fans to know you better. So you come from a beautiful country, Sakartvelo. How did you start going into this basketball thing? Of course, it had to be somehow you touched the basketball for the first time, you fall in love. So how was it for you?
Honestly, kind of like ran in the family. My uncle played pro basketball. He played for the Georgia national team. All right.
Can you say the name of the uncle?
Levan Patatsia.
All right.
He also played in the EuroLeague a little bit. So
for which clubs?
He played in Nizhny Novgorod.
Nizhny Novgorod, yeah.
Russian club.
Yeah.
Where they spent, I think, 2 years in the EuroLeague.
Yeah.
One of the years when Bagatskis was coaching the team, he was...
I remember that season.
Yeah. So he was always still a role model for me, and I always looked up. I wanted to follow the footsteps, so like I also tried basketball. I played a little bit. Like everyone from my mom's side is tall. So, like, he's 2 meters tall, and I would assume, or at least I was hoping that I'll also be tall, but...
One day I'm going to be 2 meters.
Yeah. I didn't have, let's say, okay, not talking about the skill, but I didn't have the anthropometrics to be a basketball player. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, I love this game, and I want to stay in this game as much as possible. So I was like, okay, I love coaching, and let's do it, you know? So, and that's how things started.
How old were you when you decided that you're going to be a basketball coach, or at least go into that path?
I kind of was always attracted to like the beauty of the game and the beauty of like the game behind the scenes, you know, like watching coaches. I remember when Igor Kokoshkov was the head coach of the Georgia national team, and I was like, first time I went to the game, I was like 8 years old, and I saw him on the bench, and like, you know, like I was impressed. And you know, at the same time when I was playing, I started doing this coaching licenses. Because I, like, when I was young, like 16, I already knew that I kind of wanted to be a coach. So. Yeah. So I started passing those along, and the things moved out pretty smooth for me. And I started coaching my middle school, like, school team.
So while you were in school, you started coaching?
While I was in school, yeah.
All right, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah. I kind of always knew I wanted to follow that path.
All right. So then... more things happened, more things developed in your life, and you eventually somehow ended up in Lithuania. We know that Lithuanians love Sakartvelo, Sakartvelo loves Lithuania, but how did that happen in your life?
Honestly, like, you know, we share, I think, a lot of history. Georgia and Lithuania, we're both post-Soviet countries. Yeah. Both very unique, very beautiful. Also, at the same time, small countries of population, also the size. So. Žalgiris, when I watched Žalgiris on let's say on the EuroLeague, when it was on TV, I would always support. And when I was young, I remember it was always my favorite team. So while you were younger, of course you knew Žalgiris name. Yeah, I knew Žalgiris for sure. Yeah, 100%. You know, like if you dive into Georgian basketball, you know, also Dinamo Tbilisi and Kauno Žalgiris, they had some interesting battles back in the day when whether it was in Tbilisi or whether it was in Kaunas. And actually, you know, since Gintaras was also part of that team, you know, it's interesting to talk to Gintaras about that and how it was back in the day, and, you know, talking about Georgian players, how they were, and, you know, etc.
So Gintaras tells some stories about that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we have a good conversation with Gintaras.
I know one fact that maybe I'm right, but Arvydas Sabonis, he played his best scoring career game versus Dinamo Tbilisi, and he scored 53 points. So that was his best game. Of course, during that Soviet era of basketball, yeah. It happened in 1989, I think. But I recently looked for the information, so yeah, I remember that now, yeah.
That's cool, okay.
So how did you end up in Lithuania?
So basically, it was a connection with Gediminas Navickas. I mean, I started out with the youth program.
Yeah.
So 2 years I worked in the youth program. We also had a Georgian kid there. And let's say he played, I was also coaching in the youth national team, and he was part of the national team.
Yeah.
And that's how the connections kind of got started, because he ended up coming here.
Yeah.
You know, he spent 2 seasons here.
And he was the youngest LKL player.
Yeah, he was, yes, that is true. Yes, he was previously in Nevadis before coming to the youth program, that's right. And there was a kind of like opportunity to come here, work in the youth program as an intern.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like a very interesting opportunity to come and, you know, see Lithuanian basketball, because in Georgia, it's like Lithuanian basketball is like
a trademark.
Yeah, trademark, yeah. So I was like, you know, like, it's super cool for me to come here, dive into that, learn about the history of Lithuanian basketball, let's say the culture of Lithuanian basketball. So it kind of all started like that, you know. So then the second year followed in the youth program, and things sort of moved like that.
What were your first duties when you entered Žalgiris organization as an intern? So did you have to do a lot of video cutting for the second team, I guess?
I worked for the second team and the third team, both teams. Just coming in, being like helpful with whatever. You know,
whatever you need from me,
whatever you guys need me to do, like I'm available, whether it's cutting film or working players out individually, staying with them to shoot or whatever. I was really keen. I was really eager to work and see the kind of like different perspective than I had in Georgia, and you know, like I was up for grabs for anything. Let's just put it like that.
So because you were constantly available, you were constantly noticeable during the practices at Costa and so on. So that's why you get noticed by the first team. Yeah, how did it happen? With it moving up?
Honestly, I remember it happened like we had an ANGT in Dubai last year, and there was opportunity for me to come, you know, work and also help with the tableau, like with the scoreboard during practice. And I came and I wanted out helping out, and then Andrea, you know, like Andrea came up to me and he was like, okay, maybe you can, you know, stay for the rest of the season. And just help us out with whatever, with the tableau, whatever they needed help with. And also Gediminas played a big part. Obviously, he was in the head of the youth program, and now he's our GM. So that's how things kind of started, and eventually the second season followed up in the first team, and it's a big privilege to work here, and a big honor.
Was there any mental tests from Andrea Trinchieri when you first met? Like he gave some kind of questions, then he narrowed his eyes and he was like, okay.
Yeah, Andrea is amazing. Andrea is amazing. I think, you know, like working with him is such an unbelievable experience, and you just learn so much from him. And obviously you can say that, okay, like he tries to see how you do. Like even like he pays attention to every detail possible. So I just made sure, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a scoreboard, and I'm going to make sure that it's perfect.
I'm going to excel at this.
Yeah, I'm going to excel. Whatever the task I'm given, I'm going to excel at it. You know, that's a good way to put it, like you said. So for sure, it was like a tryout session as well.
All right, so talking about nowadays stuff that you do with Žalgiris Kaunas, can you quickly run through your daily routine with Žalgiris Kaunas? What is that you do for the fans to help them understand?
At the same time, I mean, like my, let's say, label tag, or okay, it's a video coordinator.
Yeah, video coordinator.
We can just put it like whatever concerns that. Like, I do that part. Basically, I believe that my job is to make things easier for the coaches. Let's say whether it's like cutting film, preparing for whatever they need. You know, that's concerning with video.
So, for example, we have a game upcoming versus Alba, but just only like an example, and you have to cut all the plays of Alba. Or
let's say regarding EuroLeague and regarding teams, we usually split. Let's say coaches would split teams in between, but let's say if it's our game and the game is already done, like my job is to cut the game and have it ready for whatever. Maybe some coach wants to watch it individually with the players, so we have everyone tagged, so it makes their life easier. Let's say they can just click on, okay, I want to watch a video with Lonnie, So they just click Lonnie.
Yeah.
In our, let's say, program, we use Sports Code.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful program to make things like very practical.
Yeah.
And also, let's say, if we want to show the post game for the players. But regarding the EuroLeague team, let's say we split it. Let's say Tudis has his own teams.
Yeah.
Max has his own teams. Let's say I usually like, okay, me and Max work together.
Yeah.
I'll help him out with whatever's technical aspect of it. So me and Max usually work together with the teams. Now, Alba is Tudis team. Now, the upcoming game, Milano, is me and Max. So we just work on that together. Obviously, if Tudis needs some help. We also have Vitas, who's been amazing for us. Or if he needs help from me, like personally, I can provide. So again, like how I mentioned with the youth program, whatever's needed, like I'm up there, and whatever's needed to make our lives easier.
So you are also working with Žalgiris material, yeah? You cut Žalgiris performance based on the separate players and so on, yeah? Or do you only do the rivals analysis?
Yeah, we do our post game. Like, let's say we have a game and I'm gonna cut our own game, and then if it's, let's say, the team is my responsibility or me and Max's responsibility, we take care of that. So also opponents and also taking care of our games.
I know from the past experiences with other coaches, talking to them, it's a very interesting job to be working it. But how many sleepless nights do you have per week? A lot, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say sleepless. Like, obviously, you got to sleep in. Basically, it's a long season. It's important to have a fresh mind, and you try to maximize your productivity, you know, as much as possible. And obviously, you know, having the sports code, like helps us to make that happen. Helps us to sleep a little bit at night. Let's just say it like that. But you know, it's a long season, a lot of games, so a lot of working hours.
During the game, do you have additional duties during the game that you need to fulfill to help the coaching staff with, or your tasks during the game ends and because you prepared some material just for the game? So how is it during the games?
During the game, it again depends on whose team is it. Let's say if it's my responsibility, the team, I also have to take care of what the opponents play. Yeah,
for example, Milano is going to play some kind of play. You have to notify the coaching.
Yeah, we have to be aware of what they play. We have to think about what is going to be the next move, what they're going to run after the timeout, and during the game, usually my responsibility is to take care of the opponents, what they do. Let's say if it's this game, we also do the energy checklist. Like, we count the deflections of our players. We also count, let's say, if they take charges, if they score in ones, if they receive in ones, so whatever it has to do with, let's say, energy. Let's say if it's not my responsibility that game, I take care of that. And obviously, there's a lot of gray areas where you try to help out. Let's say maybe you notice one thing, and okay, you go up to during the timeout, go up to Max or Tudis, hey, okay, maybe this is something they can do. So obviously, there's always something.
If you want to watch the whole video, join Žalgiris Insider.